Okay folks, this is something interesting. I don't know how it's going to turn out, it's a bit tricky, but it's something I would have loved as a child. I never had one. I would have loved one. I never asked, I don't think, but it reminds me of childhood. I'm going to make this a dual colour job. I don't know how big I'm going to make it. Maybe we'll leave it on that for now and see how it goes. But it's something because I was a tomboy, and I'm still a tomboy, folks, don't get me wrong, I'm still a tomboy big time. But basically I would have loved this as a young tomboy. Let's see what it is. It is a dozer, some kind of, it's a cat branded, just like the real thing. So it's a dozer, or some kind of dozer, bulldozer. It's an interesting one. We're going to use this side to go down, and it's really an interesting piece. I would have loved one as a kid. It doesn't seem to be sitting the way I was hoping it would, and it's a little bit tricky trying to line it up. I had a feeling it was going to be difficult, but maybe not quite this difficult. We'll soon find out, see if it copies nicely as this. But yeah, it's a dozer, or bulldozer. I remember when I was a kid, when I was in kindergarten, I went to a school and they had a toy crane and a toy grader. And I really loved the crane and the grader. I loved them both. Now that looks interesting. I think we've made it too big. But basically, I really liked the crane. So I've always been interested in boys kinds of stuff, tomboy stuff. Now I'm just trying to see if it's lining up nicely. I think we've got to pull it back a bit. But basically I've always been interested in very masculine type things. I've never been a fan of dolls. My parents really tried to get me to play with dolls instead of boys, masculine stuff. I used to think that I was given toy cars, even though my parents tried to get me to play with dolls. But I actually was thinking that maybe the cars were meant for my brother, not for me. They were his toys, but I still managed to get a hold of them anyway, and I used to really love them. Now that looks interesting, but it looks a bit minimalist because we can't get it to sit. It's not sitting as flat as I'd like it to, but then it looks quite nice. But basically, my parents did want me to be more feminine, and it was always a battle trying to deal with my tendency to prefer things that are masculine instead of feminine. It was really difficult, and I know I don't want to put them. I know Mum meant well. I think it was Dad that must have drove most of the demand, but my mum did also. She's okay with me now, and I get along well with her, but I don't get along well with my dad or my brother. They don't like my creative use of the photocopier. And incidentally, when I was at high school, I made up my mind when I was in year 8, that I made up my mind I wanted to become a photocopier technician. So that sort of is an extension of my masculine functioning. I'm not, to be honest folks, I'm not trans, because I still have feelings for Luigi. I don't feel very sexual, but I still I do love him, and I know that I will become sexual when I get married to him, because I'm not interested in having sex outside of marriage, and it's probably a good thing that I don't feel too sexual, because it can be a problem. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise, so to speak, that I don't feel that way, but I have done in the past. So I don't wear men's underwear or singlets. I do wear women's under apparel. I do wear women's underclothes. So I know that sounds a bit like I'm getting a bit personal here, but I'm just saying that I'm not trans. It's not, if you're trans, that's it. That's your business. But for me, I'm just clarifying where I stand at and how I feel as a person, because I'm not trans, even though it looks very much like I am. But I do think I have, as a person of a tomboy persuasion, I think it's a bit of a taste as to what it's like to be trans. I think I can understand it. I'm not 100% sure, so don't, I understand if you probably don't agree with me that I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I have felt in the past that because I'm so masculine, I just don't feel like I can identify with the feminine side of things. But I find that if I have a partner, that's a different story. But I think I can understand without being fully understanding of it. And it's hard. It's hard living in a world where gender stereotypes and sexism and all that come into play. I've been sexually harassed on many occasions, working in male-dominated jobs, so I have an idea of it's really not nice when that happens, and it hurts, especially as a tomboy, to get treated like that, and it really is not a nice experience dealing with that kind of sexism. Because I do believe that women can become CEOs, they can become technicians, they can do anything, pretty much, almost anything. And basically it can be just a real insult when we're not allowed to be fully appreciated in these male dominated fields that we have so much trouble navigating our way through. Now I'm having a lot of trouble with this. This is not working very well. It's a real pain in the ass, to say the least. But I really miss Luigi. He's a part of me. And that looks interesting. I keep getting it too high or too low. But I really miss Luigi, and it's really difficult trying to get my stuff out there. I'm just going to check on the side here to see if I've done this better. But I really miss Luigi, and I'm trying to get this stuff to go to free-to-air TV on the primetime news. And it's just difficult. I do think that's really difficult. Wondering where the centre of the job is going to be. It's going to be down there. We're not going to make this too... I do wish that could go down a bit. I really wish I could be together with my partner Luigi. It really is a difficult world I live in, being away from him. And I think that's where all the sexual feelings have been dying on me, because I'm not with him and I'm not married to him. But I really, I've had image problems with my body as well, folks. That could be a way of understanding what a trans girl, or a girl to male trans, must feel, because I hated periods, I hated boobs. I felt really self-conscious. I was always feeling very masculine, and it really, I think I can relate to a lesser extent. I don't want to say that I know when I don't, because I know that it's very painful for a person who's trans to have to deal with the world as it is. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm being a bit too much of a know-it-all when I'm not trans, if you know what I mean. I'm not a trans, so I'm not trans, so I don't know the full story of what it's like to be trans. But I do feel like I can take, from what I know, I've had a taste of it without actually being trans, if you know what I mean. Maybe this is more uncommon than being a trans. So I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. I don't want to piss anyone off unnecessarily. I don't like to do that. I don't want to hurt people who've already got a hard task in their life to deal with being different, not fitting in with the establishment of things. Yeah, so now we're just going to finish this off. Let's see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. Okay, well that looks interesting. I think now we can call this prolongated dozer demo quits.